Making business your business. Venture, Sunday on CBC.
Watch CBC New Brunswick at 6 for NB Now with CBC News.
Oh, hi there, and welcome to Canadian Gardener, the first show of our new season. In fact, it's the third season coming to you from this beautiful UBC Botanical Garden. And as you know, if you've watched the show in other years, it's jam-packed with all kinds of ideas that you can utilize in your home garden, not only from here on the coast, but also from our contributors all across the country. In fact, today, Paul Pulio will be standing by on Grapevine to tell us how to start things under glass. Oh, and we'll visit Greta Heinen, who tell us how to choose the best greenhouse to start our own seeds off at home. And because it's the first weekend of spring, we shall do some seed sowing. Before we do that, though, here's a quick tip to get you started. You really need to start off with a decent mix. Now, when you go to the garden centre, there'll be a potting soil mix, and in some garden centres, they'll have seed starter mix. Doesn't really matter which one you get because they're both about 90% peat moss. The key thing is to get sterilized soil because you don't want weeds coming up with your seedlings. Then, of course, you need water handy. It's nice to have a good watering can with a rose on it. You need to moisten the soil before you use it. Also, you need to water in the seeds later. What you put them in, pots or flats or little baskets, whatever they are, they should either be new or if they're recycled, well washed because you don't want any problems from fungus diseases from last year. And then labels are extremely important. I find the plastic type work really well. You can recycle them, and a pencil is the best thing to write with. If you use pen, it'll wash off right away. A selection of seeds, and if it's your first time gardening, get something easy like California poppy or nasturtium. An old kitchen sieve recycled is dandy for putting the soil on the top once you've sown them. And last but not least, it's important to keep them dark. So a plastic bag, you know, black or green will work really nicely. Most of the packaged soils that we buy are really on the dry side, so it is important that you have enough moisture in the mix. And I've said this many, many times before, if it's very, very dry, I think warm water from the tap is the best way to go. But it's sort of like mixing up a cake, really. You want it to be to a nice consistency so that when you squeeze a handful of it, it just sticks together. That's still a little bit on the dry side. A bit like the first snowballs you make, you know, in the season when they... I know you don't want to talk about snow because it's spring, but you get the idea. And so you just squeeze it together and it just sticks. That's good. Then we'll just do a couple of pots. And I don't worry so much about... These have got very tiny, tiny drainage holes in the bottom, and I'm not worried about covering them up. If you think they're large, you could put a piece of paper towel over, but it's not, as I say, important. And then the same with these little six-packs. These might be the sort of things that you recycled from last year, and they've got small holes in too. When you put the mix in, just do it lightly, as you see that I'm doing here. And then you just want to level it off with some flat edge. Because if you use the bottom of a similar sized pot and push it down, just by doing that, you'll get this nice little sort of space. I don't know, it's a centimeter or two below the rim of the pot, and you have a nice level surface on which to sow your seeds. If you don't level it off, then when you water them, they'll all go down into dips and hollows and come up in all kinds of clumps. The other thing that we could use, and some people use sometimes, is a half flat, but really and truly, the few seeds you're going to put in here, they're going to then take up the whole windowsill, the whole greenhouse, so if you do a flat full, you're going to have enough for the neighborhood. I will, however, use it to sow on, because you should never actually sow seeds over the soil that you're using for others, because some will drop in, and by the time you've finished, you'll have a little bit of everything coming up. The other thing is we'll use these Cosmos. I learned this a long time ago from doing television. I always used to open my seed packages from the top. I expect a lot of you still do. If you take off the top, you take the name away, and then if there's some seed left over, you don't know what you've got. So just use a sharp knife, cut it along the bottom. And depending on whatever it is you're using, there's enough seed in here for me and the rest of the crew. If you know what I'm saying, you don't have to sow everything. You only need about 24 plants for your home garden. And this is the old-fashioned way that my head gardener used to tell me how to do it, was to put it in the palm of your hand, just hold your hand above the pot, and gently tap. And you could, these are large seeds, so you can see them dropping off. And you can more or less, you leave, well, a few centimeters between each one, and that's really fine. Then you just use the good old sieve, and this time you can use a bit of the drier soil to put on the top. Just lightly cover it. You almost need to be able to see some of the seeds showing through. And then, of course, another thing I must remember to do, or we all must remember to do, is the cosmos and the date. And we'll make sure we have that. And then for watering them, you can either use the Cause watering can that has the nice rose on it, but since you're probably going to do this indoors and you don't have a lot of space to work with, a spritzer bottle works quite well. Make sure that it's on the fine, there we go, like so. And then you would put the label, lay it on the top, you put several together, you'd lay plastic over the top of the pots, you put it on the top of your fridge where there's a nice heat from the fridge cutting on and off. Every day you check to see if they're coming up, and as soon as they're up, you put them in the windowsill. And really, that's all there is to it. We'll visit with Paul Pouliot in Quebec to find out what he's up to indoors when Canadian Gardener returns in a couple of minutes.
Fresh as a New Brunswick morning. Introducing milk with a cool new look that says down home delicious in the farm fresh tradition. Northumberland. New Brunswick's best to your family.
Leaving your furry friend in a kennel? You might be shocked to learn there's no guarantee Fido will get basic care in a place like this one. Find out more Monday at 6 on NB Now.
To the Health Show, Thursday at 7. A series special, The Monarchy, a historical look. From glory days to the troubling 90s, The Monarchy, Friday on CBC. He's been called modern art on ice, Jack Nicholson on skates, the man with no bones. He's Gary Beacom, professional world champion. Adrian Clarkson presents A Life at the Edge, Wednesday.
I want to play the Chihuahua on the orchestra. Da 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 da.
Comics, Mondays at 9:30, starting April 3rd.
Welcome back. Well, the days are getting longer, but across the country there's still a fair bit of snow on the ground. However, spring is here, and that's not deterring gardeners. They're working away in their basements under lights, getting all kinds of things ready for the season ahead. On Grapevine today, we're going to visit our friend Paul Pouliot in Quebec. He's going to share some thoughts on how he's getting ready for the season. Hi, Paul. How are you doing?
Rather well, and how about you, David?
Very good. I see you're not outside today.
Oh no, we're not outside. You know, it's still cool. but we believe that winter is leaving us.
Good.
And another thing, that spring is coming, really, and then our amateur gardeners in Pierrefonds are getting ready for a wonderful summer. Everyone is very busy right now.
Definitely. You've got lots of good color around you where you are.
Oh, yes. Well, as you know, I'm in the greenhouse of Jardin Cléroux in
Yes.
Pierrefonds, and I've been working very hard with them, and we have really, I wouldn't call it a jungle, a botanical garden full of flowers. It's beautiful.
Great. And what are you going to show us today?
Well, I'm going to speak about summer flowering bulbs. I have begonias
Yes.
and tuberous begonias, and then I have crocosmia. Well, I'll start with the begonias.
Okay, they're nice-looking tubers.
Oh, they're beautiful. That's very important because they have growth, pink growth on them. And another thing, the growth media must be very light, made up of potting soil,
Yes.
vermiculite and perlite, but mostly potting soil. And then I put them in that mix and cover them lightly. And when that is covered, about half an inch of soil,
Yes.
then I stamp down very lightly and I water. Now, the one that I've done here is the multiflora,
Yeah.
and that goes for beds and borders.
Excellent.
And the other one here is made for baskets, you know,
Yeah.
on balconies and patios and all that. And the same thing, it's a beautiful, beautiful tuber,
Yeah.
and it's ready. I put it in, and I cover it lightly.
Yeah.
The same thing, stamp it down, and then water.
Paul, can I ask you, did you mix up that mix yourself?
It was mixed by my good friend, Mr. Cléroux,
I see.
Daniel. He's an expert in mixing that. And I'm telling you, looking at it, it's high quality mixture.
Great. Is there any fertilizer in it?
There's a slight amount of fertilizer. But one thing with the begonias,
Yeah.
you must fertilize when you put them out. And you fertilize once a week with a soluble fertilizer such as Formula 10-30-20. And once a week, if you want to have flowers and you want to have good plants. Another thing, though, is the question of not the temperature, but mostly if it's shadowy or if you have sun. No direct sun. Sun
see.
3 hours a day with a northern exposure,
Yeah.
either in the morning or in the late afternoon.
I see. Now, before they go outside, though, you're going to keep them like on a windowsill or in a greenhouse, right?
Oh, yes, and then we'll try to harden them up. But I'd say that we have really a few weeks before doing that.
Definitely.
Because I am expecting that we'll have some snowstorm yet.
I see. So that's just one of the things. We're
Yes.
not going to have time to do the crocosmias.
Well, it's easy. It's the same process as the others.
That's something you're going to put in your flower border, right?
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing all that with us, Paul.
It's been a pleasure.
We look forward to seeing you again real soon.
Good. Goodbye, David.
Following on from Paul's tips, you know, when you start things up inside, it's very difficult, particularly if you live in an apartment, because the air is so dry. So you can make your own little greenhouse, or you can go and buy one of these prefabricated seed starters with a clear plastic top. It's got a tray on the underside that'll catch all the water, and it also has prefabricated pots that'll sit inside. However, if you're dealing with things that don't like to be transplanted, you can get little peat pots from the garden center like this to sow individual seeds in, or what I really like are these guys, and they're fun if you're working with children. They're little peat pellets, and they're inside a coating, and you soak these flat pellets in a cup, and they swell up like so. And what it is, you see, you can put something like a nasturtium, because they're really large seeds, as you can see there. You just push one in the top, like that. Actually, we can do a couple more here. And then you do need to cover up the seeds a little bit. And all you do then is just sit them right inside, a whole row of them inside your little greenhouse. Put the top on. If you want to, you can put a little dark cover over it, but every day you need to check. And if they need watering, you just simply add some to the tray below and it gets sucked up inside. Once they're large enough to put outside, you plant the whole thing, because the roots will be down here. There won't be any shock from trying to transplant them any other way, and it's a real simple way to have nasturtiums in your garden this summer. Thinking about purchasing a greenhouse this year? We'll give you the lowdown on what you need to know and look for after this short break.
Take a good look. On your streets, around your neighborhood, throughout your city, and beyond. That's where we are.
A lot of changes being made.
The province's roads safe. So far, the jury has heard
2,000 feet underground.
NB Now with Terry Sege, Rose Arsenault, and Andy Wilson. Weeknights at 6 on CBC Television. New Brunswick. What NB Now is all about.
Monday on Land and Sea. Who owns the fish?
We thought the ocean was full of fish, and we could just help ourselves. Well, now we know that it's not that way.
The push now is to privatize what few fish are left. Small inshore fishermen are dead against it.
The big companies with the money, they'll buy out all the little guys, and then they'll have complete control over everything. There'll be no more inshore fishermen, and all the small communities will go under.
Monday at 7.
Cummingwary, pleasant relief for upset stomach, indigestion, diarrhea, does it all. Cummingwary, he's been selling them from the back of his car for 50 years now. And if you think he's slowing down,
I said to show $50 worth of Medicated while you're talking to him.
better come with us. From Windsor to Montreal, there's only one.
They called me the Raleigh Man all the time.
We're on the road again with the Raleigh Man, Tuesday at 7.
Immigration.
Who gets in, who stays out?
Crime.
Is gun control the answer?
Social programs.
What will the cut mean? I'm Wendy Mesley. Join me for Issues That Matter.
Sunday Report at 10 p.m.
The survivors of war inside our prison system, magic and mystery. The human journey continues. I'm Arthur Kent. Join me for an all-new season on Man Alive.
Thursday at 7:30.
I guess it's every gardener's dream to have a greenhouse, right?
Oh, yes.
We're really lucky today to be at BC Greenhouse Builders here in Burnaby with my friend Greta Heinen. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How about you?
Good. Now, when people come to get a greenhouse, what's the question they ask? Can they grow everything?
Can they grow everything in there? Can I grow my orchids? Can I grow my banana tree? Can I grow my geraniums? They want to grow everything at once.
And it's not possible, is it?
No, because every plant has a different night temperature.
Yeah. So a cool greenhouse like this one?
A cool greenhouse is the place to start.
Great.
Yes.
So what exactly is a cool greenhouse, Greta?
A cool greenhouse is where the temperature at night is 40 to 45 degrees.
Uh-huh. And this isn't a glass greenhouse. What is it?
No, this is what we call a twin-wall polycarbonate. And what it serves as an insulator, and it diffuses the light.
Like double glazing.
Like double glazing. And it's great for on the prairie provinces.
Sure,
yes.
It would be. Now, ventilation, Greta, is very important.
Yeah, that's a manual opener that you can control yourself and little by little open it up. And then we have the automatic vent opener as well.
So that means you could go to work and it would take care of itself. How does that work?
It actually works with an expansion fluid. When it gets warm and the heat rises, it pushes the vent open. As soon as the outside temperature cools, then the vent closes again.
Oh, that's great. You have nice little shelves on the side there,
yes.
too. That helps you with your room, right?
It helps with the room because you're always running out of space in a little greenhouse.
And then the yellow sticky board?
And that is for whitefly. I find whitefly is a common pest in a greenhouse, in any greenhouse environment, and it picks it up.
Great.
You know,
so you don't have to use your pesticides?
No, no. I stay away from the pesticides. I use those and the safer insecticides.
Great. Now, can we move on to a more heated greenhouse, a more sophisticated form?
Certainly.
Go take a look here. Oh, I like the color of this.
Yes, this is your green, and it's a traditional glass greenhouse.
Sure, with good-sized panes, huh?
Yes.
We get lots of light
for the
here.
maximum light conditions in the greenhouse.
So we've really come up a step to a heated greenhouse.
This is a warm greenhouse. It has a night temperature of about 55 degrees.
So you have full services then from the electricity services from the house?
Yes, that are brought in from the house. And you have a heating system, and that depends on where you live, what your requirements are, you see.
It's double glazed.
This one's double glazed. but you can insulate it.
Sure, I see over there. Now, that's a great sort of feature of your greenhouse. Is a little ridge you can clip on the plastic?
Yes, it's in the bar system, in the glazing bar system.
Yeah.
There's a groove. So you line the plastic up and then you clip it in. But it also serves as a support for light fixtures.
Sure.
And for hanging baskets as well.
Oh boy, there's a lot of weight there,
There's a lot of weight
So
in
the
there.
structure is important, and this is very strong.
It's a strong structure, and it can be extended because, as you say, the large panes, and at any time you can expand your greenhouse.
Which greenhouses are never large enough.
No.
Also, with the temperature, you've got your maximum, minimum thermometer.
That's very important to record your night temperature as well as your daytime temperature. And with that recording, you can tell whether your heat is working or whether you need more shade on your greenhouse during the summer months.
Shade, important. Now, in the old days, we used to use this. Yes. Cool Ray, right?
And it's a whitewash.
And you go out and mix it up, paint it on the outside.
Nowadays, we have, this is something new. It's been used in commercial greenhouses, but now you can buy it for the hobby greenhouse. It's a 60% shade. It is fastened to the outside of your greenhouse.
Still on within the structure, sort of?
You can undo a screw and just put it through. Or some people, they drape it over the top, and they even make roll-up shades with this type of material.
So that way, if it's dull weather, you can raise it and lower it.
You can raise it and lower it, yes, yes.
Okay. Having said that, Greta, here on the coast, light is a little lacking sometimes for us. So your light unit?
Yes. Your light unit is placed over the seedling bed or the propagating bed. And this bed has a soil cable inside.
In addition to the heat of the greenhouse, you've got bottom heat coming through.
Yes, because your night temperature is 55, but your plants, your seedling needs 70.
And also, the light unit itself is on the hooks. So you can
raise it.
Raise as you go. And is it on a timer, too? Or
you can put them on a timer. Because at this time of year, as you're going into April, you would probably need about 4 hours of additional light a day.
I see. Now, one other thing that's very important that we always forget about in a greenhouse is water.
Yes.
Because you have to come in here more or less on a daily basis and do this.
And do the watering.
Do you worry about the humidity also?
The humidity, you like to keep it between 50 and 60.
Yes.
So that's why you have a little humidity gauge.
Great.
And in some cases, like you can have a bucket of water that's sitting there. And we also have over there where the tomatoes are growing, that is actually a styrofoam box, and it has water, and of course it adds humidity.
There's not time to talk about everything.
No.
And you've written this great book.
Yes.
In your greenhouse.
A Beginner's Guide.
Absolutely, and it's available all across the country?
Available in all the bookstores.
Super, so you can go and find out a lot more about greenhouses by picking up Greta's book. Thanks so much for having us here today, Greta.
Thank you for coming.
And don't go away, we'll be back with more Canadian Gardener in just a couple of minutes.
Is this you in the morning? Then wake up to CBC Radio.
You want a real lift for the start of the morning? You turn 1070 on and something will get you moving.
You tell them, Liz, we guarantee it.
We've got stories from Campbellton, Dalhousie, Bathurst, the Miramichi, Logieville. We've got them all.
It's sort of company while I'm having breakfast. I like to think of Information Morning sort of like your morning cup of coffee. It's nice to get up to in the morning, and it gets you going.
It's the best darn radio show on the dial.
Monday on NB Now. What makes a teenager feel so hopeless she decides to take her own life? How can you recognize the signs? What can be done to help? Teenage suicide, Monday on NB Now.
Beginning was the image.
Television, the drug of the nation, TV.
Flow. We live in an age of information overload. Not show. Television has become the universal church. Process.
We're gonna cut you down, Mr. Peterson.
Not conclusion.
This is a war for people's minds, for their hearts.
TV is the future.
Ours is the central business of the age and a tremendous force for good.
Moses Neimer presents TV, the television revolution, April 9th on CBC.
Where did you come from?
I'm the kid that came back from the dead.
Something must be really wrong. It's not his fault it's brain damage. Jake, gotta get out of here!
My Odyssey continues.
Monday at 7:30 on CBC.
She's coming home.
An emotional homecoming.
She still needs to be protected.
I can't stay in bed my whole life. I won't have that fussway around my children. Don't treat me like an invalid.
The season finale, Road to Avonlea, Sunday at 7.
If you have gardening questions you'd like answered, write to us at Canadian Gardener, P.O. Box 4600, Vancouver, BC, V6B4A2. To ensure a written reply to your question, please remember you must enclose a self-addressed stamped envelope with your letter. It's time for the mailbag. And we always get so many interesting letters. And here, this first one comes to us from Mississauga, Ontario. I've just finished reading an article by Judy Newton in Canadian Gardening Magazine, which notes that you've introduced a new chokecherry, Autumn Magic. Well, this is it. We have a plant here already from our nursery, and it's got flowers and fruit on it. So a couple of questions. I now have a bush chokecherry which grows to about 10 to 12 feet, and it gets a bit too large. Can I prune it? Well, yes, you can. I've heard that it needs a companion. Does this Autumn Magic sell fruit? Well, in actual fact, it does. You can see the blossoms on here because it's been in a greenhouse, and it's got lots of nice berries on, so it may be one that you'd like to use to replace the regular chokecherries that you grow in your garden. And the second letter is about a houseplant, actually, and it's got lots of wonderful photographs in it. Excellent, in fact, and it's really rather nice. David, I've watched your show for a long time. Wonder if you can help me. I have a gardenia plant of which I'm sending you the snaps. I've had the plant for 5 years, and it's just grown and grown, but stayed very healthy. Now what I want to know is, do I cut it back, as it's given me so many beautiful flowers over the years. But in the middle of last year, it quit. So I was wondering if it's trying to tell me something. I would like some advice for you. So, what I would say is, you don't usually need to do an awful lot of pruning, but I can tell from your picture that it's got very elongated. You always have nice, clean, sharp pruners. And you go in, and the most important thing is to go back down to just above a leaf joint, not take an awful lot off. And when you're doing this in the spring, you know, you could even use these as cuttings. And the other thing is, I think perhaps you've been giving it just a little bit too much nitrogen. That's why it's all leaves and no flowers. So one of those sort of 0-0 last number things is going to work really nicely for you. Anyway, good luck with your gardenia. This week off the garden path, a beautiful plant introduction from right here at the University of British Columbia. It's Ribes sanguineum white icicle. Now, sanguineum, of course, means red, and usually the wild one around here is red or pink. This was found as a sport growing on Vancouver Island, and it has these lovely long panicles. It would be hardy in the Maritimes. I think in some parts of southern Ontario it would grow. You'd need to give it winter protection. But you can see that it's growing up here on this bank where it's very well-drained soil, so it's drought tolerant, and it can get quite hot and dry in the summertime. It's beautiful because it blooms so early in the season, and you want to try and plant it if you possibly can near a dark background, so that when you're sitting in your home looking out, you see the beautiful white blossoms, and the hummingbirds will come to it too. Well, I can't believe our first show of the season has come to an end, but it has. It's been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. And as we leave you today, we're going to take a look at a beautiful Victoria garden. Until next time, have fun with your plants. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Vern McMurray. My wife and I would like to welcome you to our garden in Victoria. The garden is roughly 2 acres in extent and is terraced down to the ocean.
Tonight, twice the ice, the Habs and the Devils, then the Canucks and the Oilers. You're watching CBC New Brunswick. Make it yours.
Hi, kitty, kitty. This is a little turtle, and I don't think he likes being here in my clinic. But I have a riddle for you. What does a turtle have in common with a dinosaur? Well, we're going to tell you that and a lot more right here on Pet Connection. So don't you go away.